All rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Alvarez.
Here.
Councilman Cohen.
Here.
Councilwoman Eckhart.
Here.
Councilwoman Hudak.
Here.
Supervisor Hay.
Here. Notation to exits in the front and the rear. An electronic device, please put it on vibrate. We basically have a one-item agenda. It's a public hearing for the 2018 town budget. I make a motion to go into the public hearing and waive the rules, waive the reading of the
second it.
notice.
I second it.
All in favor? Aye. We don't have many people here yet, so we have a few. So anyone wish to speak to the 2018 budget?
Hi, John Lord. I just wondered, I knew that the board was looking at different lines that they were going to be trying to reduce from what your original budget was, and I was wondering if there were lines that they could point out that they had made reductions on?
Well, no, for the purpose of public hearing, what we had last meeting is the budget we're discussing this evening.
Okay.
And if there is a change, it would happen next week when we actually pass the budget.
Okay, thank you.
And it'll be next Thursday, we'll be back on schedule.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Hay and members of the town board. My name is Jay Ryan. I live on Milltown Road. And I understand from the reports in the newspapers that the budget, the revised budget as has been submitted, will not exceed the state mandated, the mandatory 2 point whatever it is % cap. And from what I've read is part of the reason that, or one of the reasons for that is that the garbage contract will be excluded from the general budget process. And according to what I read in one of the newspapers, the cost of the garbage contract will be approximately $330 per year, which I understand to be per resident who uses the services. My understanding of the initial budget was that with the garbage contract included and the 9.9% or 9.4% increase in the tax levy, that would result in approximately a $9 increase per taxpayer for our town tax obligation for 2018. So my question is, excluding the garbage contract from the general budget, how much will that increase the cost to the individual homeowners who use the garbage services in 2018?
Around $69 a family.
$69
Each
per family,
Right,
each
which
family.
is including the $330.
Okay.
That would be per dwelling.
Sorry?
Per
Per
dwelling.
dwelling.
If you have more than one
per dwelling,
dwelling,
right.
you pay 2 units.
As opposed to what the approximately $9 per resident in the entire town had it been included within the general budget. Is that?
Well, that's a difficult, unfortunately, the way the numbers work. It doesn't, you're saying, well, if you multiply 8 times the number of families, it'd be a lot more than what we're saying.
Understand, yeah.
And that's,
right.
the difficulty is that's just not the way it works when you're doing it. Because
Okay.
now, originally it was going to be $8 per family, now it's like $3.50 to $4 per family.
Right.
And part of the original increase that I had in there, I was taking in some additional monies for health insurance, which was around $200,000.
Gotcha.
So what I said at the last meeting as well is that right now with the new contract, which is $1.9 million for this year, we're still paying less than we were paying when it was formed, 21 years ago.
Yes, I understand that, and since you've answered my question, I'd written to you all, as you know, previously to express my support of the original budget. and the increase, rather than tap into the town's general reserves in order to partially pay or subsidize the increased cost of the garbage contract. And I'd like to state again tonight that I still take that position, even though the increase to the individual households who use that service, the garbage service. Speaking for myself, I would rather pay the additional $69 per year for the greatly improved services than see the town tap into the the reserves that you have on hand, the general reserve, the general fund that you have on hand for this town. I think it's very important to maintain the fund at the level that it is today. I think that's very prudent of you all to do that. And so, speaking for myself again, I support. I'm here tonight to express my support for the revised budget as it's been explained to me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I think one thing that's really confusing is that the $69 is obligatory for the dwellings that are in the garbage district.
Right.
So the $3.50 is, I think, we're only tapping into the general fund, is it
54,000,
54,000.
which I would do normally.
Right, in the past, we've dug into it a little more, even in Tony Still, I think he's been great at budgeting. So I understand your concerns. I think we're tapping into it less than usual this year, though, is that right? A little bit
Yes.
less? So it's kind of the best of both worlds. We're taking, instead of like 150,000 out of
Gotcha.
the general fund, it's only about 54,000.
Well,
So
that certainly is commendatory. And also, obviously, I've also read that there are other items that you're going to be looking at that might result in some savings to the proposed budget, and obviously, we're all in favor of those too. So,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
I mean,
Thank you.
when we say tap in, I don't think that tapping into the reserve, as our discussions and as the budget evolved,
Right.
and as we looked at it and scrutinized it more, just realize that this budget still has enough in it in terms of monies which I think are going to end up in the fund balance, what you're calling the general reserve, that even though 54,000 is quote-unquote taken out, there'll be more than enough to supplant the 54 and add more, the
Right.
way the budget is presented. And in terms of the garbage district, even the first iteration, I'm going to call it, of the budget, we could not use the fund balance to help pay for the garbage piece anyway. We couldn't do that anyway.
Okay.
And in the past, like, as Tony had previously explained, over the past 6 years, I believe Tony said, we had gone into the fund balance to the tune of about 890,000. But as you can see,
Under
the
prior
fund balance
administrations,
was
right.
1.9 million, and I have every anticipation that if this budget stands as it is, it'll be increased even more, even though we're using 54,000. So you just have to look at each individual line and see where those savings come from.
Yes, I understand. And I also understand that the philosophy in submitting the budget was to underestimate the income and overestimate the expenses. And of course, that's a very prudent way to approach it. So at the end of the day, at the end of 2018, if it turns out that we have a greater surplus than we have in 2017, then more power to you.
Yeah, I think-
Then I suppose you can look at it that time, with the guidelines that you have as far as fiscal conservatism. So.
Yeah, I think that part of it, though, is that taxes are being paid on that additional when you say surplus. So you have to say, well, we are paying taxes on a surplus.
Sure.
And now that surplus is added to the fund balance, which is more of the surplus.
What-
So, it's the rainy day philosophy, but the issue really
Right.
is, at what point is, do we have a
Where's
rainy
the
day?
balance? Yeah. When you say taxes are being paid, what you mean is, by that, if I understand you correctly, Liz, is that if more of the surplus is used to fund the expenses, then the taxes will be lower.
Well, yeah, but
So that in a way, you can say taxes are being paid on the surplus.
It really, what it comes out to is, as I had previously explained, there are lines in the budget
Right.
which historically haven't been used. So those money, when you don't use them in the budget, they will end up inevitably into the
They're attributed to the
fund balance.
balance,
But when
yes.
we do our calculations, taxpayers are paying on that money. So you're paying taxes for overstated expenses and understated revenues, but you're still paying taxes on it. So you're
Right.
paying taxes, and then that goes into the fund balance, and you have to look at it and scrutinize it and say, okay, at what point, do we not do that?
My
That's what
understanding.
it is, because everyone's paying the taxes on that.
My understanding of the fund balance is that it is within the recommended balance that the state controller's office recommends, although slightly higher. And as I said a moment ago, certainly I understand that if at the end of 2018 the fund balance is greater proportionately than it is in 2017. You will all look at it again, and see if there's some sort of an adjustment that should be made so that the taxpayers' burden will be reduced. I understand that, but for my general sense, and from what I've been reading, and from what you're telling me tonight, is that this is a very responsible board, and it's a very responsible budget, and I just wanted to, even though it's going to hit me a little bit harder than I expected it would when it was initially proposed, I'm in favor of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just keep in mind, the library referendum passed last night, so taxes are gonna go up based on that at
Yeah.
some point. I don't know, I'm
But
sure
it
we don't
won't
have
affect,
final
it
numbers.
won't
They-
affect the tax cap, which is.
It doesn't affect the
to our
cap.
It doesn't
affects the
affect the
tax
cap,
cap, but it's the same effect, or a similar
Yes,
effect to the
exactly.
garbage contract.
Yeah,
Yes.
And it won't
they
be
said
until-
$24, but that was based on like $250,000 or $350,000 assessment.
Yes.
So if
Yeah.
your house is assessed more than that, I always double it, so just
Yeah.
for argument's sake, you're gonna pay an extra $50.
Right. These estimates are based on $250,000.
No, it should be 350.
350,
355,
343, somewhere in
Yeah.
that area.
Yeah,
I just double everything.
right.
something.
Well, thank you very much for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Good evening, Gabriel Montanaro. It strikes me, from what I understand, we were busting the tax cap when we realized we could reclassify the money for the garbage contract due to the fact that it's per residence. We qualified for the state funds. I'm curious, if we did in fact break in 2012, is it possible to retroactively look back and see if we reevaluate the
It
garbage
wasn't broken
contract?
for that purpose, it's a different purpose.
Okay, so the garbage contract wouldn't have affected that?
No.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I said in one of the meetings back in 2012, I think it was $300,000 cheaper than currently, which is
Right.
even better.
Okay, yeah, all right, thank you.
Okay? Anyone else?
I'd like to make a motion, we close the public hearing.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Public comment, anything else? Town board comment?
Well, I think Mr. Ryan had a good point about trying to look for savings, which doesn't have to revise our budget, but we can look, I know it, I'm looking at the electric, as far as our electric bill, and, even if it's small savings, I think that's something we can all look at and see what we can do for next year.
Looking for savings should never be, it
No,
can come at
shouldn't.
any time, any day during the year.
So,
I
his
mean,
point
Not
is
just
well,
budget.
his point is well taken.
Yes,
Hopefully, the solar field will be online next year,
Possibly.
hopefully. And that will be offset the electric bills for the town.
Right,
That'd be
and,
great.
yeah, and I did meet Metro North at the Southeast Station, and they are going to, which I know Tony knows, they're going to renegotiate.
well,
or
they're
they
not,
might.
they're going to consider renegotiating.
Right, consider renegotiating our contract with them on the Southeast parking.
Yep, and I'll be working with them. They came to my office to start. They reiterated when they went up to the location to identify it. I spoke to them about that and a few other items here in the town that we're concerned about. And they showed a willingness to do that.
Right.
Not now, at the moment, because it's 2 years out, but we will be meeting to discuss what can be done.
Good, and
And they sounded, I think, more positive than the first time we asked, which was about 2 years ago.
yeah.
But that was when you had said last week, I think it was, that you wanted to hold off discussing it to take their thunder away or something?
No, that wasn't it.
Oh,
And actually, they haven't announced the other part of the thunder, actually.
No.
That
They
was-
did, they are making some really some good improvements to the southeast parking lot and the stations in particular, so. And I know they're going to talk to you, Tony, about the drop-off area and making that look nicer, too.
Yes.
Well,
Now-
I think what's good about it is, you know, once again, we have an opportunity to have revenue where we didn't believe that there was going to be revenue in 2020. I think that's where we're going down this road.
Yeah.
So that's a
we'll
good
see.
thing.
Yep.
Right.
Now, I'm not stealing your thunder because I got something from Paul Yankee today, which he's asked to put on the web. Just so everyone knows, I can't think of the name of it. Basically, the bikeway.
Maybrook.
the bike-
Is it Maybrook?
The Maybrook portion of the bikeway, which is going basically from the town of Southeast north toward Patterson and eventually, I hear, up to Canada, that they were given a $40 million grant by the state of New York to do that on the Metro line, and that's the so-called Thunder. So the county had lost that funding a couple of years ago, so it's been replenished, and you're going to have a bike path basically going from Connecticut all the way up this way. It's going all the way down south toward, Westchester County and further, so it's going to be improved greatly.
That would be the line in front of Lake Tenetta?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, that line there and through Patterson, and it's following the Metro North line, and that's why they got the $40 million grant.
That's great.
And Prospect Hill Bridge is on schedule.
Yep.
They're taking that apart, I think, almost as.
And our webpage, if you go to Prospect Hill, I took 3 pictures over the weekend to show the current state of it. And by the end of 2018, first week of between late 2018, early 2019, it will be open. And I was also told at a meeting that took place in my office that the bridge down by the firehouse, once Prospect Hill Bridge is done, that they're gonna work on that other bridge, which is mostly New York State DOT, and they're gonna realign the location of that, but they haven't identified exactly where. It's either gonna go in front of Michael Nooner Drive or Oak Street. We reconfigured that, so you come at a T instead of like right now, it's a 3-way, be lucky, where someone's gonna go. You put your blinker on, but you don't know where your blinker's going to, so they're working on that.
They think that's where the bike path will end up crossing, they think?
Well, yes, there was supposed to be, from Brewster Heights toward Kobackers, the Metro North line is there. Originally, it called for a bridge. Now, I don't know what it's gonna look like, but I mean, it's gotta go pretty high for a train. And bottom line, the bridge is no longer in the plan. They're gonna go on the ground from the current location on this side of the Metro North tracks. They're gonna go where Megan Screw Products is and going up that road, which is Putnam Avenue? Putnam Avenue, come across Route 6 to wherever when the new bridge gets in. They're gonna wait until that point in time, and then you're gonna go from where the new bridge is, and then you're gonna head toward Kobackers to get back on the line. So part of it will now be on the main road as opposed to being completely, off the main road. I don't like that aspect of it, but it's gonna be a lot cheaper and a lot easier to maintain, believe me. So, anyone else? Did we start? No, okay, who's making the motion to
What-
close?
What do we have to do? The budget's just accepted or till?
No, it's public hearing, we have, next week, we vote on the budget.
Okay.
We closed the public hearing already, so I make a
Yep.
motion, we close tonight's meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.